This video is sponsored by Link2, Private Investing Made Simple. Link2 gives accredited investors the opportunity to invest in private equity prior to companies going public. They have a huge selection such as Link2, BitPay, Uphold, Ripple, Dapper Labs, and BlockFi, and many more. Today, they're continuing their discounted pricing over there on Ripple shares on Link2, where you could buy shares of Ripple prior to the company going public over here on Link2 and get in before the public does. It's a simple process to get accredited over here on Link2, and new members who use the link in the description of this video and all of my videos in the month of May will get $1,000 back in XRP when they purchase Ripple during the month of May. And if you purchase anything else on their website, you get $500 back in Link2 bucks by using the link in the description of this video. Are you not an accredited investor? No problem. Regardless of if you're an accredited investor or not, you can join the Link2 community of investors by signing up over here to get free emails with quantitative and qualitative data regarding macro trends and supporting information about the private equity market by visiting the affiliate link in the description of this video. What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll be keeping it light, tight, and bright on a Friday. It has been a hectic week over here in the cryptocurrency market. We'll peek, of course, over there at the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market. It has been a ravishing week over here in crypto. The last 2 days, I have put out 2 videos each day. There will only be one today. I am done for the week. This has been insane. But last night, I put out a video titled Remembering Past Completed Capitulations. If you haven't had a chance to catch this video yet, I really dive into what's been happening with the altcoin market and what happened with Bitcoin back in 2017 when it was having its first major correction after breaking out into its all-time high. I also told you guys this was a time period where I actually got shook out of the market. During this capitulation that happened with Bitcoin back in 2017, it caused a nightmare for me having to get back in and go through the washing machine here, doubting myself, not knowing if this was just a retracement and it was rolling over or if I had sold and bought back and sold and bought back and got completely washing machine in it. And I told you guys that whole story yesterday, how that happened to me, and that this was actually the first major correction that Bitcoin had had after it had broken out into its all-time high. And right now, with where we're at, this is actually the first major correction for the altcoin market after it has also broken out into the all-time high. And that when the capitulation came for Bitcoin, it actually did end up holding itself down in here, just like we have. And we've gone through these things many times. I could see a lot of you have seen yesterday's video, but not everybody has. But I highly suggest you go and watch that whole thing yesterday. Nice to see. There's some green on the board over here. Looking at the Coinbase list, you even have mana up 50%. So these are good signs. It doesn't mean we're going in a straight line up into euphoria land right away. But I was telling you guys earlier this week that, the things that, I've looked for when really serious capitulations come to an end is you start seeing stuff with like 30, 40, 50% coming off the lows. I wouldn't say we're seeing all of that throughout the whole market. So I'm still not like super convinced that we're completely done with all of this, but these are first good signs to see for sure. So I'm excited to see some sign of life because it's been just facing your hands, oh my gosh, kind of week. So I figured what we could do in this video is to try to look for signs that if we say, hey, if we're following something like this, is the actual bottom already in? Or what do these structures really look like in the final phase? Usually when a capitulation comes to an end, there's the first bounce at the bottom that looks like it's the real actual bottom, but that's actually just shorts closing out. And then you have one more push just a little bit lower, and that's the last one. So have we already had that shorts closing moment? Or are we witnessing the shorts closing moment right now? And this is kind of just the little fake before we do one more revisit of the lows, and then we're free to turn back up. Now, I still am on caution over here about USDT because I don't understand a lot of this stuff and what has happened here with UST and with Luna. We can see that here in just the last couple of minutes, here I'll put us on the 1 minute time frame. Just 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, we were up here with Tether getting repegged back to $1, but we could see it just pushed back down to 0.998, now at 0.999, working on getting itself repegged back to $1. And that, of course, has had me on caution because of the insanity of what just happened with UST and Luna. Never seen anything like that in my life before. Definitely uncomfortable to see that this happened to Tether shortly thereafter. Nice to see Tether getting back to $1 and recovering. Like I've mentioned, I've seen Tether step away from $1 many times since I've been here in 2017. It's happened numerous times where it gets down here and can stay down here for a while and then reclaim itself and go back and not have the absolute self-destruction of what we saw happen over there with UST and Luna. But definitely was cautious as we saw this happening to USDT shortly after we saw what happened with UST or Terra USD. So still, it's not like perfectly pegged up in here. Still has me cautious. I still keep that in the back of my mind. Is this a wild card? I don't know. It's over my head. And that's an event that we had happen this week. So hopefully this clears itself up pretty soon. You could see over here on Coinbase, it's almost got itself back. It even just touched $1 just a moment ago. So we're still working up in here to get repegged, but pretty close. So just wanted to reiterate, that's still the overhanging thing out there right now, whether it's even an issue or not. Again, there's been Tether FUD the whole time I've been in cryptocurrency since the very beginning. We've gone on 2 bull runs during Tether FUD and every moment of me being in crypto. And Tether showing that it's able to get back to $1 gives me a little bit of relief because obviously algorithmic stablecoins dependent on volatile assets does not work. We just witnessed it. But moving along to see if we are seeing signs of the ending of the capitulation, whether or not we've gotten down to this exact level like we have in previous capitulations. Can we see signs in here of the shorts closing? So let's go take a look back at some of these previous capitulations in Bitcoin to understand how the bottoms came in for them. Outside of our most recent one that we had back here in May of 2021, we're going to go back to 2020, 2019, 18, and 17. Let's look at these because we have 2 kind of capitulation events that happen in here. 1, we had our C19 sell-off, and 2, we had our legitimate bottom capitulation come in here. And now I have that C19 sell-off right here on the top, and I've got the altcoin market down here on the bottom. And this one was a little different for C19. It was actually just a straight line down, and then once it stopped, that was a legitimate bottom in there. There was no additional shorts closing that happened after that. Price bounced up, price moved back down to lows, and it was a slow grind out of there till it finally just kept going and going and going. But it was very slow to work its way out of here with no real shorts closing at the ending phase in here. But as you can see, something like that would still look like this in here for the altcoin market and then slowly working its way out if you were like that. No shorts closing. Moving on to the actual capitulation at the bottom of the 2018 bear market for Bitcoin. We did have our shorts closing type of moment come in here. After price had capitulated from $6,000 all the way down to $3,457, $3,480, whatever, we'll call it $3,500. Price did bounce back up a little bit, rolled over, and that was the final ending to all of it. As we could see, shorts close out of here, one final push, and then worked its way out. And one of the deeper corrections for Bitcoin back in 2017, where the price fell from $5,000 down to $3,000, we could see how it worked its way down. Finally, it starts to crack. One push, second push, shorts closing out, final capitulation, and then off it went, which would put you in here somewhere similar to like being right in there. Kind of zoom out on it and get a better idea of where that shorts closing would have occurred at. And then in this circumstance, after shorts closing, it would have been more that you worked your way back up in here once there was kind of a actual push off. And that's what I do remember about these corrections very much. If you recall in yesterday's video, as we were going through all these things, the mark at the bottom, it was a big push off the bottom. So it doesn't just happen real slow. There's a big push. That's what happened each time. Just whamp, off it went. And you just knew right away that was the end. And so we're seeing some big numbers over there in this market. I mean, you see 20%, 30%. You saw Mana with 50%. You're seeing it. And we're seeing most things above 10% right now. But I do recall very clearly what these things felt like, and that there was legitimately like this moment of, whoa, the price just started firing up everywhere for everything. And maybe that still is in the cards right now. Maybe we have more follow through that's going to be coming here later in the day. But hard to say if it is right now. But like we're saying here, I'm thinking we're nearly done if we're not already done already. It takes a whole lot to get me rattled. This got me rattled. It takes a whole lot to do that. That's a sign of capitulation. But the question is this the final shorts closing, and then there's like a little push left in it? So let's move on to the next one. We can go down here and look at the one that we've actually been talking about in here to see that as well. There was kind of the shorts closing kind of moment coming in here at the very end, right? You had your first kind of break, which would that kind of be this moment right in here, right? You're getting below here. You're getting below here. There's your first break. There's your first shorts closing moment. Is this our shorts closing moment? We've got one more little push and then wham. I think it's possible, but I'm definitely leaning more towards this is the end of this moment for the altcoin market than death and destruction. I think everybody is worried about death and destruction. I totally understand this USDT stuff probably has people on the edge too after what happened with UST, but we could see it's still working here in just these last couple of minutes. Like right now at this moment, $9.99, $1. It's working on that repeg. That makes me super happy. But are we still working on kind of just this final ending? Because I do remember that in lots of capitulations, that right when everybody thinks it's the bottom, it's actually just the one kind of fake. It's like the one where a lot of the shorts get closed out. Then there's just one more little one, and then that's it. It's over. It's what we typically see in these things. It's what we typically see in these things right here at the very end. It's what we see over here. Even at the end too, right? There's just one more, and then that's the ending phase right in there. So after all the things we went through yesterday, discussing how this capitulation plays out, I am heavily leaning on that this is actually what's going on here in this market right now. And the market's actually more optimistic than we think, so long as there's not some underlying Tether, whatever situation, which I don't even know if anything would happen if something happened with Tether. I know everybody speculates that everything would crumble and be the end of the world, but we have no clue if it would be a real event or not. Would people run from their Tether and buy a bunch of assets? You wouldn't have the same complications of what happened with UST and what happened with Luna. Those two were integrated into their codes with each other on a supply scale that it just massively printed massive amounts of Luna. The supply increase caused by that with Luna and the way the code was baked into it, it just printed a massive amount of supply. I mean, how do you even, 1 million, 1.5 million, 1.7 million % increase in supply in 3 days? That's not what would happen if there became a problem with Tether, right? So we don't know. We don't know what would happen. Everybody speculates the prices would crash, or would people sell off their Tether and buy cryptocurrencies? I don't know. But all this stuff that happened with UST or Terra USD, it's all just happened in the last few days. So more information will come out. I've tried to do some reading up on it as I can. It's a very unique situation in itself. And I'm happy to see Tether getting itself repegged back to $1, which it is right now as we speak. It's at $1 finally. So that's relieving. But the purpose of that too is that on these circumstances, right, we dove into this correction. It's gone deep enough. It's gone just deep as it needs to go. In these things, like in this correction, when I look back on it, it's hard for me to remember because we're talking 5 years ago at this point. I don't recall there being a narrative to go with this one. All the other ones that happened, like this one over here, this was the first big China bans Bitcoin FUD. China came in here right at the 702 Fibonacci retracement level. On an A, B, C, right at the 702, China comes in and bans Bitcoin. So there was a narrative of fear that happened in this one. But on this one, I don't recall one. And with China banning Bitcoin, you had it all the way down here, right? It didn't happen so suddenly. This thing that happened with Luna and that happened with Terra USD happened very quick, right? It's like one of those moments that happened like with C19, just panic. And the C19 sell-off that we had actually ended up being one that where there was no shorts closing. It was just complete and utter pure panic that happened down in here, and that marked the bottom. Did we have complete and utter pure panic about events that were going on in the cryptocurrency market, and we're not going to have a shorts closing, but we've already come down deep enough? I think that's possible too. But the thing I'm getting at is that if we're going based off of how these corrections played out, and that this was Bitcoin's first major correction after it had broken through its all-time high, that was the bottom. That was the end of it. That was it. It's the things that we've been looking at over here on the market, where we set one new high, pull back below, and one more final excess, and boom, that's it. Long period of grueling, and then the capitulation back down to the low. So what we had in here, one new high, pulls back up, long period, capitulation, right back down to the low. It's exactly what we've seen here. Both of these occurred right on top of their all-time highs after their multi-year bear markets, their first major corrections on top of their all-time highs. So I remember this. I remember the capitulation. I remember how I felt. I had a lot of those same feelings this week. Like a good boy, I did not react to any of my feelings that I had. Hopefully that still was the right decision to make, but we'll give this thing time to play out throughout the weekend to see, is that the case? Is there actually a shorts closing that has to happen in here, or did we already get it? Because one thing we do know is we've had big time volume in here. Looking back all the way till May, right? So we go back to May of last year. Look at what has happened in the last 4 days in here for Bitcoin compared to the entire year. High volume typically comes at reversals when final excesses are made. And we know that to be true down here at the C19 sell-off as well. So with Bitcoin, it's still, as you guys know, I've been a bear on Bitcoin all year long, right? So now the question comes, with how things have played out for Bitcoin, there's three things, right? Everybody thinks it's going into the complete and utter crash right now, which I fully believe we will see a $13,000 Bitcoin in one day, $10,000. I think it's very possible we see a $2,000 Bitcoin price one day. But is that day to day, right? Is there still more room up to go in Bitcoin at this point? And I'm still indecisive on a retrace for Bitcoin or a new all-time high for Bitcoin. But that's going to be for another day and to watch things happen. So, and see things, how the altcoin market reacts versus Bitcoin to kind of get to that point. Retrace is still always my thing. Markets very rarely go down in complete and utter straight lines. It happens occasionally. It's very, very uncommon for it to happen. They typically work in retracements. But, one of the things as well is that I've been bearish on Ethereum as well. So I've been bearish on Ethereum as well. I sold, whether it was luck or whatnot, November 10th, I sold the literal top of Ethereum, and I had posted that over here on Twitter on November 10th, exit plan for Ethereum part 4 final update. And my expectations have been more of, we're working into our bear, and that's going to be the end of it in there. But with how Ethereum has played out, it's also played out very similar to what the altcoin market has at this point too. So now here we go. It's the same corrective structure, right? And you could argue, hey, this is why the altcoin market looks the way it does, because Ethereum looks like this. But it's not true. We can look at total 3, which is the altcoin market that excludes Ethereum, and we have that as well. You look at the altcoin market total 2 that does include Ethereum, it looks like that. And then you have Ethereum itself that has also done the exact same thing. So is it time to stop being a bear on Ethereum? It might be. I think the thing that we'll be looking for in the coming months is, how these things react in here. Is this shorts closing, right? Are we just back testing this level? Shorts close, one little dip, and then up. Then it's going to see, do we pause out here? And then do we go take out this level? If we start getting our way up here, and if all of this starts happening very quickly, very quick recovery, none of this nonsense where we just grind our way over here. But if we have a quick recovery come out of here and Ethereum gets its way back up to its retracement levels, it's going to be a big question of, is that it? Is that the C, or is that an ABC? Is that a correction in there? And is it ready to turn over, or is it going all the way up? And based on how this thing has played out, I would probably lean more towards it would actually break through there and Ethereum will go into new all-time highs. But we've got to wait to see how this thing's going to play itself right now. And you can very clearly see right now, this is likely back testing right in here. Is there going to be the final excessive little move that comes down, and then it starts working its way back up? That's typically what happens at capitulations. But like in C19, that was pure panic selling off. There was pure panic selling off here in this one, while there was also an event occurring in the cryptocurrency market. So it's very difficult to know right now. But based on how capitulatory all of that felt, I'm way more optimistic than I am bearish at this point. And so after all this time of being this bearish on Ethereum and this bearish on Bitcoin, but I actually feel that this market may be more bullish than I think it is. And that includes Ethereum, which you guys all know. I've been a bear on Ethereum all year. I completed my exit plan on Ethereum. I think there's a chance Ethereum's more bullish than I think it is. And so is the rest of the altcoin market. Bitcoin, it's still a mixed bag, whether or not this is just going to end up becoming some type of retracement coming in for Bitcoin in here to get back to the 702 or 618 up in this region. I can't deny what I see happening over here on Ethereum and how much capitulative action we just had recently and what ended up occurring, and that I've seen this before, and what happened before was it went on to set new all-time highs. So my thoughts of complete and utter ultimate bearishness on Ethereum did not play out. Instead, it's looking a whole lot more like what corrections look like after they go flying back to new all-time highs. So as we're down here at the lows, I might be bullish on Ethereum. But as we head into this weekend, the thing that I'm going to be, prepared for, right, going through looking at all the different corrections and how capitulations can play out, is that at the bottom, I always remember these things in capitulations, that at the bottom, there's like the first fake. We see all these big numbers over here on the right side of the screen. Looking at Coinbase, you got Mana and Kyber Network, both of them with the 40s and 50s like we talked about. Those are the things that I look for bottoms to come in. But I also know that we can get those fakes right at the bottom. It's just the last one, and then there's this one little more push that happens in there, the final little one, and that's the real ending. And I think we're much closer to the ending, if not already there. And I think the time for me to be bearish is coming to a close. And I'm not just talking short-term bearish or long-term bearish, right? That's been my thoughts on Ethereum and my thoughts on Bitcoin, long-term bearish. The things that I'm seeing over here in the market and how all these things played out and how this capitulation was and how it even impacted me and how I was feeling during that moment. I felt capitulation. I rarely feel capitulation, ever. I felt it. So going into the weekend, we'll see if we have some type of more working around in here or if there's a bigger pop back to the upside. Either way, I think we're closer to the end of the capitulation than we are to the beginning. Now, I haven't addressed the little video I played at the beginning of this video. Did you guys think that was cool, man? That is something that's been in the works in the background here for maybe 2 months at this point, and others are in the works as well. Working on, the XLS20 NFT release will be coming over there on XRP at some point, and hoping to have something to be able to release out over there once that does come live. Whether or not everything is done before then, I don't know, but it's pretty exciting to be working on that. I hope you guys thought that was kind of cool. Comment below if you thought that was cool. I, of course, couldn't have done that myself. I do have help who's absolutely amazing, but coming soon. Also, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Link2 does have discounted Ripple shares today where you can buy their shares before they go public. Over here on Link2, private investing made simple. And like I mentioned, and you guys know this, I don't just look at the crypto market. I try to look at, Forex. I look at currencies, dollars, euros, stocks, equities. I try to keep my views on the entire market to try to paint the picture. But even if you're not accredited, you can come over here and set up an account or set it up on your phone, and they'll provide you with data on macro trends and what's going on in the private equity market as well. And that's free over here on Link2, even if you're not accredited. And there's a link to in the description of this video. And anybody who buys Ripple in the month of May using that link and is a new customer gets $1,000 back in XRP. And if you use that link during the month of May to sign up and you buy anything else on their platform during the month of May, you get $500 in Link2 bucks back as well. And so on that note, throughout the weekend, looking to see if we get a rally back up to where we broke down from, or if we're doing the kind of final shorts closing out moment here in the market. But I'm way more optimistic now that we've gotten through everything. It's like the tornado has come through already. It's already ravished all the homes around us. The sun is starting to peek out, but there's still a couple of clouds overlaying around. which I don't know if I just subliminally accidentally explained this picture in that video or not. But either way, check out yesterday's video to see a more thorough explanation on that corrective structure above the all-time high if you didn't already check it out. But I'm optimistic. I'm feeling better. Let's make sure that Tether can still hold this peg that it's got up here, which it's still struggling to just hold it. It's at 999, right? I mean, it's really close, but you know, it's there. Whether or not it's even a systemic issue or not, I don't know. But UST, that whole thing that happened this week with Luna, but watching to see if we have shorts close out and if there's a final little dip in there. I may take some action if we get that little dip down in there. But otherwise, what a week, man. I've made more videos this week than I have in a long time. One of the busiest weeks for me. I can tell you right now, I am taking the weekend off. I'm not coming back throughout the weekend. I will post over here on Twitter throughout the weekend. So if you're not following me on Twitter, follow me at bcbacker. But there will be no videos this weekend. I need a mental health break. And we all
go
probably
get yourself
need a mental
educated
health
over
break
there on
after a
link
week
to
like
this weekend.
So catch me over there on Twitter throughout the weekend. I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.